She discovered her sister's fiancé was her husband's past, so she exposed the truth and ended his revenge to protect herself. Emma gazed out at the garden view from the kitchen window while brewing her morning coffee. In the yard of their small house in suburban Ohio, the tomatoes and basil that Michael had lovingly cultivated were growing lush and green. Emma felt deep satisfaction with this ordinary, peaceful life. Her part-time job at the library 3 days a week was ideal for her. The time spent reading to children and introducing new books to elderly community members enriched her heart. "Good morning, beautiful," Michael said as he came down the stairs, giving Emma a light kiss on the shoulder. Her husband worked as a counselor at a middle school. Trusted by both students and colleagues, he was a well-regarded educator in the community. His gentle nature and patience were qualities that had first attracted Emma to him. "Will you be able to come home early today?" Emma asked as she handed her husband a warm cup of coffee. "Yes, I do not have any special meetings, so I should be home at the usual time." "Are you at the library today?" "That is right. I have to prepare a new children's book display. I hope the kids will enjoy it." Michael smiled peacefully. "The books you choose are always popular with the children, so I am sure it will be fine." This casual morning conversation was the most precious time for Emma. 5 years into their marriage, their relationship grew deeper each day. The days they had walked together, respecting each other's work, and supporting one another, were an irreplaceable treasure for Emma. That afternoon, while Emma was reading to children at the library, her cell phone vibrated. When she checked during her break, there was a message from her sister, Sophia. "Emma, I have something important to tell you. Can I call you tonight?" Sophia worked at a marketing company in Chicago. She was an active woman who had gone to the big city right after college graduation and built up her career. In contrast to Emma, Sophia was always seeking new challenges and was proactive in both work and romance. However, the bond between the sisters was deep, and no matter how busy they were, they kept in regular contact. That night, Sophia called as promised. Emma sat on the living room sofa while Michael read the newspaper beside her. "Emma, listen. I am engaged." Sophia's voice trembled with excitement. Emma jumped up involuntarily. "Really? Congratulations, Sophia." Michael also looked up from his newspaper and tilted his head questioningly at Emma's expression. Emma mouthed to her husband, "Sophia got engaged." "His name is David Harrison. He is an investment advisor. He is so kind and intelligent, and he really treasures me," Sophia continued breathlessly. "I have not contacted our parents yet. You are the first to know." Emma's heart filled with joy. She was as happy about Sophia finding happiness as if it were her own good news. "Tell me more. Where did you meet him?" "Last fall, through a friend's introduction. At first, we were just friends, but gradually he became someone special. He supports my work too, and thinks about the future with me." The two talked for nearly 1 hour. Sophia told her in detail about everything from meeting him to getting engaged, and Emma warmed her heart, listening to her sister's happy voice. After hanging up, Emma reported her sister's engagement to Michael. "That is wonderful. I am glad Sophia is happy." Michael seemed genuinely pleased. "When are they planning the wedding?" "They are planning for next spring. Before that, they want to have a meeting between the families." "I see. That will be nice." Michael smiled gently, but Emma thought she saw his expression harden slightly. However, it was only for a moment, and he quickly returned to his usual peaceful expression. The next morning, Emma called her parents to tell them about her sister's engagement. Her mother, Carol, was extremely excited, and her father, Robert, was also genuinely happy about his daughter's happiness. They discussed the schedule for a family meeting and decided to meet at a local upscale restaurant the following Sunday. "Emma, you and Michael will come too, will not you?" her mother asked to confirm. "Of course, Mom. We are looking forward to it too." As the day of the meeting approached, the whole family's expectations grew. Sophia occasionally sent happy messages about David's character and work. Emma also sincerely wished for her sister's happiness and prepared to welcome the new family member. However, Michael alone sometimes showed an expression as if he was thinking about something. When Emma asked about it, he would brush it off lightly, saying, "It is just work stuff," Emma trusted her husband, so she did not pursue it deeply. The Sunday of the family meeting was a refreshingly pleasant autumn afternoon. Emma chose a navy dress, and Michael dressed in a suit he was not used to wearing. On the drive to the restaurant, Emma's heart leaped with joy at seeing her sister. "Are you nervous?" Emma called out to Michael in the driver's seat. "A little. Meeting new people always makes me nervous." Michael laughed lightly, but his smile seemed somewhat stiff. "It will be fine. According to Sophia, David is a very friendly person." Emma lightly touched her husband's hand. "Besides, you are good at talking to people. Students and parents trust you." Michael nodded slightly, but Emma did not miss that his hands gripping the steering wheel had tensed up. The restaurant, Oakwood Terrace, was a high-end establishment with a good reputation locally. The private room that Emma's parents had reserved for this special day had subdued lighting and elegant interior design, creating an atmosphere befitting an important family gathering. When Emma and her husband arrived, her parents and Sophia were already seated. Beside Sophia sat a tall man. That was David Harrison, Emma. Sophia stood up and hugged her sister. "Let me introduce you. This is my fiancé, David." Emma saw her sister's fiancé up close for the first time. David, who appeared to be in his early 30s, was an attractive man with refined features and an intellectual air. He wore a navy suit well and extended his hand to Emma with a warm smile. "Emma, it is nice to meet you. Sophia always talks about you. I heard you were a wonderful sister, and she was absolutely right." David's voice was calm and made a good impression. "It is nice to meet you too. Sophia always talks about you so happily. So I am pleased to meet you," Emma replied while shaking hands. "And this is my husband, Michael." Emma turned to introduce her husband. However, Michael stood frozen near the entrance, staring at David with his face drained of color. "Michael." Emma approached her husband with concern. "What is wrong?" David also looked toward Michael, and his expression seemed to change for a moment. However, he quickly regained his smile and walked toward Michael. "You must be Michael. It is an honor to meet you." David extended his hand, but Michael did not respond. "Excuse me," Michael said in a trembling voice. "I am feeling a bit unwell. I am going to get some fresh air." Emma stared at her husband in surprise. Michael had seemed normal since morning, and even in the car he had not appeared particularly unwell. "Are you okay? Should we go to the hospital?" Emma asked worriedly. "No, I am fine. I will feel better if I get some outside air," Michael answered hastily, and headed outside the restaurant. The remaining family members looked at each other with confused expressions. "Is Michael all right?" David said with concern. "Did I perhaps do something rude?" No, not at all," Emma hastily denied. "I think he is just tired. He has been dealing with some difficult cases at school lately." Father Robert tried to smooth things over. "Well, let us sit down for now. Michael will come back." Once seated at the table, David began his self-introduction. His background was impeccable. After graduating from a prestigious university, he gained experience at a major financial company and was now successfully working independently as an investment advisor. His way of speaking was refined, and her parents were clearly impressed. "How did you come to know Sophia?" Mother Carol asked. "Through a mutual friend's introduction. Initially, I was consulted about business matters, but as we talked, I was impressed by Sophia's passion for her work and her intelligence." David answered gently while looking at Sophia, and gradually we got to know each other better, leading to where we are now. Sophia also smiled happily. "What are your wedding plans?" Father asked practically. "We are planning for next May." We made a comfortable schedule considering Sophia's work commitments. The conversation was proceeding smoothly, but Emma's mind was full of thoughts about Michael. This was the first time she had seen her husband so upset. After 15 minutes without him returning, Emma stood up. "Excuse me, I will go check on my husband, of course." "Please do not worry about us." David showed understanding. When Emma went outside the restaurant, Michael was smoking a cigarette near their car in the parking lot. Her husband was not originally a smoker and only turned to cigarettes when under extreme stress. "Michael, what is wrong? Are you really feeling unwell?" Michael turned around and looked at Emma. His eyes held an emotion like fear. "Emma, I am sorry. I am really sorry." "What are you apologizing for? What happened?" Emma felt uneasy about her husband's abnormal behavior. "Let us go back inside. Everyone is worried." Michael extinguished his cigarette and took a deep breath. "I am fine. I was just a little nervous." When the two returned to the private room, the family's conversation had moved to wedding preparation topics. Michael took his seat but had clearly lost his composure. Even when David spoke to him, he answered absent-mindedly and barely touched his food. "Michael, you work as a counselor at a school, do not you?" David brought up the topic. "That is wonderful work. I am sure many students trust you." "Yes. Well," Michael answered briefly. "Actually, I was once interested in education-related work myself. I think work that touches people's hearts is truly noble." At David's words, Michael suddenly looked up. The moment their eyes met, the air became tense. "Excuse me." Michael stood up again. "I am really not feeling well, so I will excuse myself." "Michael." Emma started to stand up in surprise, but Michael stopped her with his hand. "You enjoy your time with your family. I will wait in the car." After Michael left, an awkward silence fell. Emma could not understand her husband's behavior and felt terribly sorry toward her family. "Emma, it is okay." Sophia took her sister's hand. "Michael is a kind person, so he was probably just pushing himself too hard. That is right. When you are not feeling well, it is better not to force yourself." David also showed consideration. However, Emma knew that her husband's condition was not simply due to feeling unwell. The fear-like emotion she had seen in Michael's eyes had planted a seed of anxiety in Emma's heart. Emma continued the conversation with her family while constantly worrying about Michael in the back of her mind. When dessert was brought out, she had reached her limit. She had never seen her husband so upset and could not leave him alone. "Excuse me, I will go check on my husband." Emma started to stand up. At that moment, the private room door slowly opened. Michael had returned. However, his complexion was even worse than before. His face was pale, and sweat beaded on his forehead. "Michael, are you okay?" Emma looked at her husband with concern. Michael looked around the room and directed his gaze at David. David also seemed to sense something and showed a slightly tense expression. "Emma." Michael walked close to his wife and whispered quietly, "We are leaving right now." "What? But we have not had dessert yet." Emma was confused. "No, right now." Michael's voice had an urgency that brooked no argument. "Thank you for your time. We just remembered something urgent." The family looked at each other in surprise. Especially her parents could not hide their bewilderment at their daughter's husband's sudden change in attitude. "Michael, are you all right?" David stood up and asked with concern, "If I did something inappropriate." "No, it is not your fault," Michael answered in a trembling voice. "It is an emergency." Emma was about to stand up because her husband's behavior was so abnormal. However, Michael suddenly grabbed her wrist. "Emma, come now." "Michael, that hurts." Emma was surprised by her husband's strong grip. It was unimaginably forceful compared to the usual gentle Michael. "I am sorry. It really is an emergency," Michael said to the family. "We will visit again another time." "But Michael," Emma tried to resist, but her husband paid no attention and made her stand up. "Thank you for your time." Michael gave a one-sided farewell and tried to leave the private room, pulling Emma's hand strongly. "Emma, what is wrong?" Sophia looked at her sister with concern. "Wait a minute, Michael." Emma tried to stop her husband, but Michael would not listen. With other restaurant guests turning to look, Michael dragged Emma toward the exit. Emma's head was confused with embarrassment and bewilderment. "Everyone, I am sorry." Emma tried to turn back and apologize to her family, but Michael would not let her stop. Once they got to the parking lot, Michael finally released Emma's hand. However, his body was clearly trembling. "Michael, what in the world is this about?" Emma looked at her husband with a mixture of anger and worry. "Acting like that in front of everyone is not like you at all." "Get in the car," Michael said while opening the car door. I will not get in until you explain. Emma stood firm and would not move. Michael turned around and looked at Emma. His eyes held emotions close to despair. Please, Emma, I do not have time to explain right now. Just please get in the car. Seeing her husband's extraordinary state, Emma reluctantly got into the car. Michael also sat in the driver's seat and started the engine. However, his hands were shaking so violently that he had trouble turning the key. Michael, let me drive, Emma suggested, seeing her husband's condition. No, I am fine. Michael desperately gripped the steering wheel. After the car left the restaurant parking lot, and they had driven for a while, Michael suddenly pulled over to the side of the road. He took a deep breath and said to Emma in a trembling voice, Emma, do you know who your sister's fiancé is? Emma did not understand the meaning of her husband's question. David Harrison, right? We were just introduced to him. No. Michael shook his head. His real name is different. What are you talking about? Michael looked at Emma. At that moment, Emma's blood ran cold. The depth of fear and despair in her husband's eyes spoke to the seriousness of the situation. We have to protect her right now. Michael's voice trembled. Emma, you might be in danger too. Protect us from what? From David? Emma's voice began to tremble. What has he done? Michael gripped the steering wheel with both hands. He started to say and choked on his words. He what? Emma grabbed her husband's shoulder. He approached her for revenge, Michael said as if squeezing out the words. To get revenge on me. Emma's heart began to beat violently. Revenge for what? Do you know him? Emma, there is something I have not told you. Michael looked at his wife with an expression full of anguish. I had a previous wife. A previous wife? Emma was surprised. She had asked her husband about his past in detail before marriage, but had never heard of a previous wife, a woman named Sarah. She died 3 years ago. Michael's voice trembled with tears. And David is Sarah's brother. Emma felt as if her world was crumbling in an instant. The fact that her sister's fiancé was her husband's former wife's brother was beyond her comprehension. But why revenge? Emma asked in confusion. He probably thinks I am responsible for Sarah's death, Michael answered while crying. I do bear some responsibility, but Emma, I loved Sarah. I never intended to hurt her. A heavy silence fell in the car. Emma began to understand the weight of the past her husband had hidden and the seriousness of their current situation. Sophia does not know anything, does she? Emma murmured. Right. That is why we have to protect your sister, right now. Michael took Emma's hand. I do not know how far David intends to go. Emma's heart was full of fear and confusion. The happy family meeting had turned into a nightmare-like situation in an instant. She no longer understood anything about her sister's happiness and safety or their own future. Let us call Sophia right now. Emma took out her cell phone with trembling hands. But at that moment, a message arrived on Michael's cell phone. The sender was David Harrison. Michael opened the message with trembling hands. Emma also leaned forward to look at the screen. Michael Thompson, we finally meet. I have been waiting for this day for 3 years. Sophia is a beautiful woman. She looks just like her sister Sarah. Meet me at the city park tonight at 8 o'clock. Come alone. Otherwise, I will have to tell Sophia everything. Emma covered her mouth with her hand. This is blackmail. Yes. Michael gripped his cell phone. What I feared has become reality. We should go to the police immediately. Emma grabbed her husband's arm. Wait, Emma. Let us move to a safe place first. Michael restarted the engine. We do not know where David is. The two took refuge in a small diner on the outskirts of town. It was during off-peak hours, and no one paid attention to them sitting in a back booth. Michael ordered coffee but could not even lift it due to his trembling hands. Michael, tell me about your previous wife. Emma gently encouraged her husband. I will listen to everything. Michael took a deep breath and opened his heavy mouth. I married Sarah Harrison 8 years ago. She was an art teacher, a very gentle woman. The first 2 years were happy. Emma listened silently while feeling complex emotions about learning her husband's past. She knew she needed to know the truth now. But Sarah had a chronic condition, depression. At first the symptoms were mild, but they gradually got worse. Michael's voice trembled with tears. I was busy with work and could not support her adequately. I was so absorbed in my counseling work that I lost sight of the most important person. And then, in the 4th year of our marriage, Sarah's symptoms rapidly worsened. She could not get out of bed all day and stopped eating. I recommended she see a specialist, but Sarah kept refusing. Michael held his head. And then one winter night 5 years ago, Michael choked on his words. Emma took her husband's hand. Sarah took a large amount of sleeping pills and died. When I came home from school, it was already too late. Emma's heart filled with her husband's pain and the sadness of losing his wife. At the same time, she could understand why Michael had hidden this past. When the doctor explained at the hospital, Sarah's brother, David, was there. He was still a college student in his early 20s. He looked at me and said, "My sister died because of you." But that is David's misunderstanding. Emma tried to comfort her husband. "No, I do bear responsibility," Michael shook his head. "I should have taken her to a specialist earlier. I should have prioritized Sarah over work. I could not save her." Emma understood the depth of her husband's anguish. Michael had been carrying this guilt alone for 3 years. Sarah's family blamed me. Especially David hated me intensely. After the funeral, I decided to leave that town. I wanted to start a new life in a new place. So that is why you moved here. Yes. And then I met you. Michael looked at Emma. My marriage to you was salvation for me, but I was afraid to talk about the past, so I kept quiet. Emma squeezed her husband's hand tightly. Thank you for telling me. But why did David approach Sophia? Revenge. Michael's voice was dark. By taking someone precious away from me, he wants to make me feel the pain of losing Sarah. At that moment, Emma's cell phone rang. It was a call from Sophia. Should I answer? Emma asked her husband. Michael nodded. Emma answered the phone. Emma, are you okay? You left so suddenly earlier, and everyone is worried. Sophia's voice sounded concerned. Yes, Michael suddenly felt unwell. He is okay now, Emma lied. I see. That is good. David was very worried too. He is such a kind person, is not he? Emma felt her chest tighten. Her sister had no idea of David's true identity. Sophia, I want to ask you something. Have you heard anything about David's family? Yes, I heard his parents passed away. Oh, but he said he had a sister, but she also died young. So sad, is not it? Emma and Michael looked at each other. David had told Sophia about his sister's existence. About that sister. Did you hear any details? Not much in detail. David looks so sad when I ask, so I cannot probe deeply, but I can tell he loved her very much. I see. Emma choked on her words. Emma, your voice sounds strange. Are you really okay? Yes, I am just tired. I will rest well tonight. Okay, I will call you again tomorrow. Tell Michael to take care too. After hanging up, Emma sighed deeply. Sophia does not know anything. To her, David is the ideal fiancé. That is exactly why it is dangerous. Michael stood up. Let us go to the police right now. The two headed to the local police station. However, the police officer at the reception desk did not take their story seriously. So, you are saying your former wife's brother is approaching your sister-in-law for revenge? The officer showed a skeptical expression. But no actual crime has been committed, right? But there was a threatening message. Michael showed his cell phone. This just says he wants to meet. It does not look like a direct threat. It might be romantic complications. Emma felt irritated, but he approached her using a false name. Do you have proof that the name David Harrison is false? Michael and Emma were at a loss for words. Indeed, they had no solid evidence. If you are actually harmed or receive clear threats, please come back, the officer answered bureaucratically. The two left the police station feeling at a complete loss. The clock pointed to 7 o'clock in the evening. There was only 1 hour until the appointment time with David. What should we do, Michael? Emma asked her husband desperately. I will meet David. Michael made up his mind. I will talk to him directly and persuade him to leave Sophia alone. Going alone is dangerous, but there is no other way. Michael embraced Emma's shoulders. You stay with Sophia and protect her. At that moment, another message arrived on Michael's cell phone. This time, it was a photo. It showed Sophia leaving the restaurant. Emma shuddered. He is still watching Sophia. Michael and Emma hurried to Sophia's apartment. Fortunately, Sophia had returned home safely. Emma decided to tell her everything. Sophia, sit down. I have something important to tell you. Emma took her sister's hands. At first, Sophia would not believe it. But when Michael tearfully told her about his past with Sarah and showed her the messages from David, her face went pale. But he said he loves me, Sophia said in a trembling voice. His love is a tool for revenge, Michael answered painfully. He may not intend to hurt you, but he is using you to get revenge on me. At that moment, the apartment door opened. David had come in, using his spare key. Sophia, I am home. He was carrying a bouquet, but stopped when he saw the three serious expressions. Is something wrong? Sophia stood up. What is your real name? David's expression changed instantly. The bouquet fell to the floor. What have you heard? His voice became cold. Do you know a woman named Sarah Harrison? Sophia mustered the courage to ask. David glared at Michael. You finally told her. David, please. Michael stood up. Sophia is innocent. Let us talk, you and I. I waited 3 years. Tears welled up in David's eyes. I could not bear seeing the man who killed my sister living happily again. I am suffering too, Michael's voice trembled. I feel the same pain of losing Sarah as you do. Lies, David shouted. You are living happily with your new wife. You have forgotten about my sister. I could never forget, Michael answered while crying. I think about Sarah every day. I should have supported her more. I should have loved her more. Emma stood behind her husband. Michael loved your sister. But depression is an illness that cannot be cured by love alone. It is no one's fault. David collapsed to the floor. But my sister suffered alone, even on her last night alone. Sophia knelt in front of him. David, I am not your sister. I am not a tool for revenge either. But if you truly love me, let go of this hatred. I do love you. David sobbed. But I cannot forget my sister. You do not have to forget, Emma said quietly. But you can remember your sister with love instead of hatred. Michael knelt in front of David. Would you visit Sarah's grave with me? You and I together. Let us mourn her. David cried for a long time, and finally he looked up. I was wrong. Sophia, I am truly sorry. After that, David received treatment from a psychiatrist. His engagement to Sophia was called off, but she did not blame him. Several months later, Michael and David met again at Sarah's grave. The two offered flowers and prayed quietly. My sister was a good person, David said peacefully. I think she is probably happy now that we have reconciled. Sarah loved you, Michael replied. She would want you to be happy. When he returned home, Emma was preparing dinner in the kitchen. Recently, Sophia had started coming to visit frequently. Welcome home, Emma embraced her husband. I am home. Michael was enveloped in his wife's warmth. Was David doing well? Yes, he is much better. He found a new job, too. Sophia poked her head out from the living room. Michael, welcome back. Did you bring flowers to Sarah today, too? Yes, Michael smiled. Would you like to come with us next time? I would love to, Sophia answered happily. That night, Emma lay next to her husband thinking. What she had learned these past months was that true family is not just about blood relationships. It is about supporting each other during difficult times, accepting each other, including the past, carrying both truth and pain together. That is the proof of real family. Michael stopped hiding the pain of his past, and Emma accepted it. Sophia chose her sister and brother-in-law, and David learned to remember his sister with love instead of hatred. Outside the window, snow began to fall. But inside this house, it was warm. filled with the love of a family truly bonded together.